Hey, welcome back, everyone. I have Joel Farrell here from Strive for 25 for our weekly chats. And today I want to kind of dig deeper into one of the kind of posts he put on Instagram and Facebook. He was ranting about 401k and why it may not be enough for retirement. So, welcome back, Joel.
Appreciate it, Mark.
Yeah, so let's kind of dig deeper into it. Where did this all come from or start from, or is it something you've been thinking about for a while?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I've been thinking about. And it kind of goes back to 2008 because, you know, at that time I was working at Citibank and Citibank stock went from like 45 to $1, literally like one less than $1 maybe. And I was in a department that worked with financial advisors and their clients and high net worth clients. So at that time, when 2008 was happening, I was 25. It's my first job out of college. I didn't know what a mortgage was. But they have a great training program at the time and learned a lot. And so that's what I was doing at the time. And so all this stuff was happening. We were still doing loans. Um, and I had this one financial advisor that just, all of his 401k was just automatically going into city stock. And, you know, he called me up one day and had a lot of clients that we were doing business with. And he was just like freaking out. He didn't realize he hadn't looked at it. And this guy's a financial advisor, right? He's helping other people's money, right? But he was not. He was so focused on everybody else that he had no idea what was in his own 401k and it's all in city stock. All the money going from his paycheck into 401k was all city stock, and then went from like 40 whatever to $1. Like it, I don't know the exact dollar amount, but that's like a 90% loss. And I was thinking about that person recently, and somebody else that I knew that was had, let's just say they had $1 million. They had more than that, but at that time they had was their 401k. They had a little bit of Social Security, right? They were a business owner, so they didn't have a lot of money put in Social Security, and they were pulling money out as the market was tanking, 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 tanking. And so not only is your account going down, right? But when you're selling shares, you're also reducing the number of shares you have. So I started doing some math on a scenario, and I used the S&P 500 ETF SPY as just an example. And so I wish I would have had the numbers with me, but like I think you do the math on it, it's like 7,200 shares. If you have $1 million and you have 7,200 shares when you start out, that's an S&P 500 in the end of 2007 was 141, call it, and then just kept going down every month. Every month, you're just down, down. It hit like 60 something as we got into the end of '08, and you're just selling shares lower and lower. So to be able to, I use an example of like that person's, selling needs $4,000 every month to be able to pay their bills. And so when you do the math on that, like it takes a certain amount of shares here to be able to get $4,000 out of your account when your price is 140. And then if the price goes down to 130, then you need to sell more shares to get that same $4,000. And then as it goes down to $67, you need even more shares to be able to sell to get to that same $4,000. So that's what the scenario was happening. So like you go from 7,200 shares, and then you're dipping, 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 and then you're at 5,800 shares by the time that you get back to where the prices are equal. And the idea of, hey, can you imagine when the markets are crashing and you're liquidating your stuff and that's all you have? And my natural inclination, because we're real estate guys, right? What if you've got a couple paid off investment properties that are just churning out cash flow paid off? And then you have more options. You don't have to liquidate out of your 401k. And so that kind of idea of all your eggs in one basket, the 401k, so many people, hey, I've got a job, I've got a 401k, I'll retire whenever, 65. And if that's all you got all your eggs in one basket. There's no diversification there. So insert what we talk about a lot, and that's real estate.
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on like what you were talking about how, you're drawing from the funds to pay for your lifestyle, but it's kind of like, how do you know when your time may come? You're trying to run out of money at the same time, I guess, you pass away, right? But let's say you live longer and these funds aren't there anymore for you to draw from to live off of. So I think that's part of the issue too, is that you're kind of planning for a certain date to pass, and your money is supposed to end up at zero basically at that time, but you really
Mm-hmm.
can't plan that. And someone actually, let me try to find it, but someone put on Twitter, it was super interesting. They were talking about how a financial advisor, his clients, like you were talking about, they had, maybe value of $1 million in whatever retirement accounts they had when they retired, and maybe 20 years have passed now, and now they're worried about running out of money, especially in today's economy and whatnot. They're worried about running out of funds on how to live, and I think that's part of the big issue with retirement accounts is, like you're saying, it doesn't really generate cash flow for you to live off of. You're drawing from this equity, and once you draw it down, you're not really replenishing it.
Totally, totally. And like, oh, not only that, you're also gonna be paying taxes when you pull the money out too out of a 401k. So, and I saw a stat too that like, you know, people are pulling more money at higher paces than ever. And I don't even know how I forget the study it was, but they're pulling more money out. Well, that's obvious because cost of living is continuing to go up. So you're depleting more than you had before. And I don't know how they measure it, but um, and you kind of go into like averages and then you talk about median numbers, and it's like, average 401k for someone who's retired. So like, okay, you have this subset of people who are retired. So that's anywhere from 60 to 80 or 90, or however, all this like subset of people that are considered retired. So like the older you are going to have less money probably in your account. So younger you are in that range, probably more as you deplete. And then, so the average I think was like 140,000. Cool. But that's an average. And so you've got people that have huge numbers up top that are going to skew that average. The median is $43,000. The median average of a 401k for somebody that's retired is 43,000. That's scary. Like my heart, when I saw that, my heart dropped. I'm like, holy shit! Like that's half the people have less than $40,000, and so they're living off of Social Security, which is like barely you can buy a pack of groceries or eggs or bread or milk with what you get from Social Security. So that scares me.
Yeah, before we move along, but that was funny you brought up, cost of eggs and milk and whatnot. But what I'm doing with another guest for next week is we're gonna compare. She's in Tennessee, so we're gonna compare prices. So this
Ooh,
week we're gonna compare, like, milk, gas, eggs from Hawaii and from where she is in Tennessee. So if you want, maybe for next week, I can give you that same list,
yeah,
and
give me
we
the
can
list.
compare. Yeah, we'll compare, Missouri to
Cool.
Hawaii, and see what, like I try to tell people, what the cost of living in paradise might be if, compared to, relocating somewhere else.
To misery,
Yeah.
paradise versus misery.
Oh, come
We can
on,
we can we can
man.
do that. No big deal.
But yeah, we can add that in, but let's kind of, stay on the 401k topic. But one of my big issues with the 401k or retirement plans in general is kind of the simplicity of it. It's so easy that I think that's my problem, is because for anything, right? If you the more work you put in, the kind of probably better results you're gonna get. But retirement accounts is, like you're saying, it's kind of a set it and forget it. And a lot of times, a lot of people I talk, even my coworkers, they put money in retirement accounts and they don't necessarily know where their money's going and what kind of fees they're paying, and what kind of control they have over it. So your rant on Instagram and Facebook, you had 5 reasons why, you're kind of against 401ks and what, or it may not be enough. So you want to
Yeah.
touch on those 5?
Yeah. Well, now you're gonna test my memory here. Okay. So,
I got it written down for you if you
oh,
want.
okay, that's
So,
helpful. So
so
the first thing that blew me away, it was a Tony Robbins video that I saw, and he's going on about, the 401k plans themselves, not the funds, not the mutual funds, not all that separate. Those fees are separate with the funds you pick. The actual plans they administer, the actual fees can range from, you know, 3% to 2% to 1% or even lower than that. And it's the middle size companies and smaller companies that have 401ks that those fees are going to typically be higher. So if you're paying 1% of a 401k fee versus 2%, first off, that's obviously a 1% difference, which, I'll get to in just a second. But that means that you hold your money in this plan and they're charging a 1% fee every single year just to have it there. And it's like if the market's going down, they're taking their fee. They're taking their fee. And it's like, damn, dude. Like that means you have to outperform even more to be able to get your returns. But like that 1% difference between 1 and 2% over 30 years, put 35K in. I think it was like $300,000 difference of when you do the math on it, that 1% difference. And that's massive. And you can talk about that even more. But that's the stuff that I had no idea. And not only that, like those fees weren't required to be released until I think 10 years ago, 20 years, I forget the exact number. Like, so for the longest time, people have been putting in and there was no required disclosure showing what they're charging. And that's just crazy. So that's one.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, I think a lot like it's so easy. You just put your money into these accounts. A lot of times you don't know the costs associated with having these accounts run or managed for you. And that's one of my biggest things with why I prefer real estate, where I have more control. I know where my money is. I have more access to it if I need to use it. And another thing too is to me the retirement accounts in general. You're kind of vested with this company, or you have to get to a certain age to actually take advantage of some of these benefits that they offer.
Yeah. And like, we're kind of going down this rant of the things that, aren't ideal with these plans. Or why it's not enough. And like on the flip side, at the same time, like it's still a good thing, right? I've put into the 401k every year, and there's certain years that I've maxed out the absolute maximum that you can possibly do in a year, and then like I've used that as a tool to over time be able to then borrow off of to be able to buy something like in real estate, for example. So it's still a good tool, especially like a forced saving tool, because everybody's different. Like you can have two different people look at the exact same thing, whatever it is, and they can see something different. Their perspective could be different. So like somebody may say, hey, you know what, like I'm not putting anything into 401k. I don't believe in it. Okay, that's cool. And somebody may be in the middle, and then the opposite may be, hey, this is a way that I know that I'm not gonna that I won't spend the money on something I don't trust myself. So I'm gonna just have that forced saving. So you have all that spectrum. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just want to say that out loud. I just think you know, having the right perspective on it and understanding what it is and what it's not is important. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. It's better than not doing anything. However, I think, a lot of it is people think it's like you're saying, people think it's enough. And a lot of times when they realize or when they get close to that retirement age and they look at their accounts, they're kind of like, this is not as much as I thought it was going to be, or kind of how am I supposed to live off of this for 20 years or something?
yeah, the one of their examples was Gen Y. I don't know what I say, Gen Y and Gen Z. So I guess I'm Gen Y. I'm the last stages of the millennials, and then you
Oh,
have your Gen
you?
Z.
You are?
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
So like I think it's like 82 to like or 90 something. I forget the exact numbers, but like I'm like the last tail end of millennial generation, and so my level and below, no one wants to retire at 65. That's just not the mindset that anybody has. Like that person doesn't want to be working at 50, let alone 65, like, and the reason why I think it's so important to be talking about this stuff, because I just turned 40, we're in the same age range, and I'm doing something with this whole platform, social media, that I never, not only that I never didn't think I could really do it, it never even crossed my mind to even want to do it until recently. So I'm doing something that I, never even crossed my mind, or didn't think I could do. And here I am doing stuff. And my perspective on all this stuff has changed as well. And if you're 35 or 25 or 45 or 55, like, and you're thinking right now of 401k, I'm good. I got 800,000, 500,000, or a million. And you're thinking, hey, I'm in good shape. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. I don't really know. But there are people out there that are doing things outside of the norm to get ahead and increase income. You took a leap and you started investing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, from 5,000 miles away to build this extra income stream and assets. And that's just an amazing example. Other people are, buying a business, or they're buying real estate, or they're building a consulting business, or they're doing something else on the side to be able to build this extra income stream, to be able to hedge against, the what if it's not enough. And so there's so many creative ways that people are, finding ways to increase income. And so anybody that's 25, 35, 45, there's amazing opportunities out there. You just got to find the right one that fits for you. And then from there, it's like, well, how do you go about it? How do you implement it? And the biggest thing that I've learned, or that I've had to learn, is that if I need to get traction on something, I have to break it down so simple. I'm that person, the ADHD brain, that like if I miss a day or 2 days or 3 days of not doing something, like I get off whack, and I gotta do at least one thing every single day to keep myself going in the right direction on this one plan. So, breaking things down so simple, kind of the James Clear Atomic Habits 2 minute rule. That's something that I've had to incorporate for my own sake to keep going on these side projects late at night that I'm working on.
I love it. You kind of touched on it a little bit about, generating extra income or side hustles and whatnot. But yesterday on a call we had on a hike, rescued a hiker, injured hiker. But on that trail or coming down, there was two young teenagers with coolers of drinks, and they were selling it to people on the hike. They had a Venmo tag. You could say if you need a drink, because it's a kind of a grueling hike. So people that don't prepare well, maybe are not hydrated enough, might need some liquids. But these two guys were just there, and I was like, I told him, I love the hustle, man. I was like, I'll put you on social media, but I don't want to get you guys in trouble for selling
Right.
stuff on this hike. But I was like, I love the hustle, man. I loved it. But yeah, just you talking about earning extra income, and this kind of leads into maybe another one of the reasons, you kind of rant on the 401k was like following your dreams, or how 401k kind of makes you forget your dream.
Yeah, and this is such a deep topic that can go into different rabbit holes because that same person, hey, I've got a 401k, I've got a good job, I'm going to retire at 65, they're comfortable, right? And maybe they don't need to be talking about any of this stuff, right? But like at the same time, there's certain people that some of the greats out there, they've all gone through crazy struggles and failures and pain, and that struggle and pain has pushed them out of their comfort zone to be able to do amazing things. And I'm not gonna go bore anybody with any list, but they're all there. Anybody of that's done something great that of, they've gone through something shitty or painful. And that's kind of the stuff that goes through my brain. It's like, okay, the average person, are they going to be stuck in this comfort zone and just kind of go and then, do their thing? And when I say forget your dreams, like there's a woman that we had on the channel earlier this year, Sarah Shimak, and she does like charcuterie boards. And she had a corporate job. I think it was medical sales, and she was doing really well. But she always had this thing in the back of her brain, like, I want to be doing something different. I want to be doing something different. And she's out providing this service, this really cool, experience for clients and businesses. And she's doing the stuff that she loves and something she did later in her journey. And she's just decided, I'm going to do it. I'm not happy. The pain is too much. I'm going to go do this other thing. And so many people go to their job, drive, or log in, and they're not happy. And that sucks. Who wants to be, waking up every morning thinking this and dreading their job? Gary Vee talks about the definition of success is different. He looks at it differently than he did before. And it's like the definition of success is, hey, waking up every single morning and being excited. Like that's success. If you're excited to wake up and get going on the challenges that you have in front of you, your family, your job, or this or that, your business, whatever, that's what success is. And so it's like, if you dread going into work every day, people are doing the things that they love. It's out there. You just got to find it.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back to my whole thing about the retirement accounts being so simple, as far as the money just automatically comes out a lot of times from your accounts. You don't know it's taken. And then you're just hoping that by the time you retire, it's a certain amount that you're going to be able to live off of for 20 years. And I think for me, that's what I realized, was that these accounts, like you said, they're better than nothing, and they do have benefits. It's just, however, I think if you put in a little bit of work, kind of educate yourself a little bit, be around other people that are trying to reach financial freedom or build generational wealth, you start realizing that it actually doesn't really take that much effort, in a sense, to kind of put yourself in a better position. Maybe for a short period of time, yeah, it's a little bit of a grind, but then you start realizing that it is possible, and just being around other people is so motivating.
Yeah. The kind of going back to the push, right? Or the struggle or the pain. Like if you're in this comfort zone, it's hard to get out of that. You have good days where you're pushing to do something more or something more meaningful. And then like it gets hard, right? It gets painful. Or maybe you're tired or you don't have the energy and you lose focus. And then a week goes by and then, okay, then what? And like you start to lose that energy. And that's why I talk about, like, your dreams dying in the fringes. Like when I say fringes, I mean like of your day. Like, and yeah, hey, I'm going to get up early in the morning. I'm going to work on this thing. I'm going to stay up late at night. I'm going to work on this thing. And a couple of days go by, and you push that "I'll do it tomorrow" button. Then you do it a couple of days in a row, then a week, and then a month, and all of a sudden your dreams die. And so on Twitter, the cash flow guy, I think you know him, right? He's in his 20s. He's got a couple properties and doing some stuff with the reconstruction of ADU and an additional dwelling unit in California. And I interviewed him on the podcast, and what I look back on it, what just stands out, it's like this dude's in his mid 20s, and he's knows the mortgage lingo, the guidelines, and all this stuff because he's passionate about it. He's researching about it, but he's doing all this stuff in his mid 20s, and you fast forward the clock from there, and he's going to be in a great position in 10 years, 20 years to not have to work or not have to uh, be required to work, and what he's just doing it. There really isn't any type of like major situation or pain or struggle. He just, what, this is what I got to do. I don't want to be working, and he's just doing it. And like, there's plenty of people that are like that, and there's also plenty of people that then need that pain or struggle or something to push them out of their comfort zone. And that's the thing that like interests me. Is like you see all these different people that are doing amazing things, and what was the one thing that pushed them, or did they just always knew they wanted to do it and they're just doing it? Like that's the stuff that is just very interesting when you break it down.
Yeah, I love it. I think that also for me, what it made me realize was kind of being in the moment or focusing on my finances now and trying to deal with it now instead of looking at it from a retirement standpoint. And I think a lot of people, that's kind of what they kind of get trapped in or led to believe. So even like, like 401k and some of these retirement accounts, you talk to a lot of people, they think it's tax, free in a sense, but a lot of it is tax deferred, possibly, right? And they're still, like you're saying, they're still going to pay taxes on it at some point. And if you look at the way the economy is and how government is, do you really think taxes are going to be lower 20 to 30 years from now? So to me, that was eye opening, really looking at it like, yeah, it might be tax deferred, but I still have to pay taxes on it at some point. I also want to kind of touch on the whole. A lot of times, I hear people talk about like 401ks where the employer match, and that's super important, and they call it free money. Like, what is your thoughts on that? Like, do you think it is free money?
So I I did some research on this, and you know, if you called your employer and said, "Hey, I don't want your match. I just want you to increase my salary instead," like they may or may not do it, but like they're building all these things into their analysis of what their compensation packages are. So like if you're getting a match, cool, that's quote unquote free money, tax free, but like at the same time, like it's part of their model. It's coming from somewhere. So if they're giving it to you here, I mean, could they give it to you somewhere else? If you decline that and say, "Hey, I'm going to be a 1099 employee or whatever," and maybe not take the benefits and not take the match, and maybe come out with a higher salary, and maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. But like that's how I started looking at these things as I started researching them more. So yeah, I mean, simplicity, you know, um, in terms of being simplistic, okay, cool. The 401k match is great. If you do it, put in the money, and your company matches it to say 3 or 6%, cool, do it. But at the same time, it's coming from somewhere. So I mean, free or not free, can mean whatever you want to make it, but it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of how I look at my pension now, right? I always thought this pension was amazing, and it is. It's great. However, they're automatically taking money out of my account that I don't ever see, and it's basically to fund the people that are retired to help with paying their pension. And like you're saying, what if I was able to get that money now instead and invest it on my own? Would
Mm-hmm.
I be better off, 20 to 30 years from now? So that's kind of the way I look at it. But I love, I saw you talking about that on Instagram and Facebook and going off on your little rant. And I said, yeah, we got to talk about this, because like you said, you mentioned earlier, when the light bulb turned on, I decided to take things out of my retirement accounts and invest in real estate. and maybe we can talk about this one. There's things that I would do different if I was doing it again, but I'm glad I did um, withdraw all those funds and invested into real estate.
One more thing, and I actually just put this out today. Um, I said on a video, I am, 56% of Americans don't have $1,000 saved. Like people are struggling. The wealth gap is widening. And I said, I'm more at the same time though, I am more optimistic about the possibilities for the people that are struggling to be able to take control, march towards getting ahead, saving money, and taking control of their financial future and getting ahead and building wealth. And it kind of goes back to the same things that we're talking about. There are ways that people are, finding a business or consulting or a way to be able to generate extra income. And if more people become aware of these options, yeah, you're probably going to be working more, spending more time. But like one of the things that I've learned and some of the things that you and I have talked about is that um, work, right? It's tired. It's not so much physical, it's a state of mind, right? Like by doing these things at night and, implementing the 2 minute rule, you know, I was laying in bed, laying it on the floor of my kid's room, right? Trying to help him go to sleep at like 8:30 at night. And I would be struggling and the anxiety and the stress of, oh my God, I got work to do and I got to ramp back up. And I've had good days and bad days and good days and bad days. And that stress was killing me because, I had these projects I was working on. So the 2 minute rule was a way that I was able to take the pressure off and just, I'm going to do one thing, log in, do something, put a clock on, and then stop. And then within 2 weeks, I had rewired my brain to start to love the process. I was looking forward to logging back in. And the reason I bring it up is that and I put this out there yesterday. Someone called me. He's like, dude, do you ever stop? You're doing all these things. Like, do you ever get tired?
That is actually what I wanted to bring up. I was like, how do you sleep 8 hours a night? There's
I
no way.
do
There's no, I don't know when's the last time I slept 8 hours. I mean, what?
every night. Every night I get 8 hours sleep, but I don't waste any time. I spend time with my kids. I spend time with my wife. I spend time eating. I don't sit around and do nothing. I'm always doing something active that is purposeful. And I didn't wake up just doing that. I had to learn it and learn it and learn it and perfect it and perfect it and perfect it because I had no choice. I had to.
How about you sleep 7 hours and 45 minutes so you're not late to our calls every time? So just give me 15 more minutes or give yourself less 15 minutes of sleep so you can arrive on these calls on time weekly.
Okay. Okay. If I do that, then I'll be like 13 minutes because I was late by 2 minutes today.
Yeah.
So then if I do that, then I'll be like 12 minutes early just sitting here waiting.
Well, that's what me reminding you. If I didn't remind you, I don't know what time you would have came on.
Yeah. You know what I was doing though? I was sending out a fee worksheet to a client in Maryland, and I got so excited because this person wanted to look at numbers on a property, and there's not many people that are wanting to put offers on property. So I got really excited. So I was working on that.
Okay, I'll
And the reason I
take
bring
that.
it up is that, like, as much as people are scared with rates and prices and this and that, like, there are professionals that are doing stuff and finding deals. I mean,
Yep.
you may not hear about it, but people are doing stuff. They're finding opportunities.
All right. Well, that's a good reason, and I'll take that for you being late. But I will get that list over to you
Cool.
of some eggs and maybe like I said gas, and we can figure out what the cost is in Missouri or Misery or whatever you want to call it, and then we'll kind of compare prices and stuff next week and see what the
Okay.
cost of
I
living
have a
is.
favor to ask though.
All right. What's up?
Because as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, what I should probably do is I should probably videotape me going through the supermarkets and looking at stuff and
Yeah.
pricing stuff out. You should probably do the same thing because I mean, people will want to hear and see what a supermarket looks like in paradise.
What do you mean? It's not like people walk around in hula skirts and coconut bras and are passing out groceries. It's a regular supermarket.
I mean, people
Well,
want to
no,
see
I
the
mean,
people want to see the palm trees.
no,
Hey, here's Mark going in the supermarket with palm trees. They want to see it,
I, I will. That's
and then
that
do it, and
was
then do some push-ups in the middle of the aisle.
that was my plan. Well, I don't know about that. I'm kind of tired from hiking yesterday, but I'm getting kind of old for this job already. But yeah, no, that was my plan. I was gonna record it, as I
Cool.
was grabbing some stuff. But I want to get a set list, and I was gonna give it to Sierra also, who's in Tennessee, and I don't know. Did I tell you? There's like they have like this in Tennessee too. They have like certain times of the year, it's like tax free, whatever groceries and stuff like that.
Like school time stuff, or
Well, they do have a school time one. Like she mentioned, there's like a certain, you can buy school computers, whatever it is, like tax free, and then maybe it's like a 6 week period, and then after that, like she just said, for like 3 months, I think it was like the groceries is like tax free
oh damn,
or
three
something like that.
months?
Something like that. So she was just, yeah, she was going through her freezer trying to get rid of it, and so they could restock it or whatever they
Yeah,
bought.
no, I didn't know
But
that.
but yeah, I mean, well, I'm not well, not to get off political and stuff. But what is Missouri actually? So like I know Tennessee's like a red state. So what is Missouri?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a red state. I mean,
Oh,
it
it's
does
red.
kind of, yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
pockets that obviously go back and forth, but it's been a red state for a bit. Um, but yeah, like you get out into the farmland and the rolling hills, it's red.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely blue out here.
Yep.
All
Beautiful
right.
blue. Beautiful
Yeah.
blue.
So next week, 5:45, and we'll catch up again.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, man. All right. Bye.